Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside. Thank you so much for joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And you know, when we have big things happening, we always like to go to the source for the people who have made those things happen. We welcome back into the program U.S. Congressman Representative Garret Graves. Welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks. Great to see you again.
We appreciate it. So, boy, this is a pretty historic day in getting things moving and moving forward. A lot of money. Let's talk a little bit about that process and how it's been.
Sure. So, you know, one of the things that we make sure we focus on is in the immediate aftermath of disasters like Hurricane Ida, we immediately get together with some of the parish presidents, the levee boards, the state, and others to make sure that we identify what went wrong, what needs to be fixed, what needs to be invested in. And look, one of the things that comes up over and over and over again is the Morganza to the Gulf project. And everybody's aware, I mean, this project dates back to 1992, one of these really awful stories about government bureaucracy. But this is a great story. Last year, we were able to work in concert with Congressman Scalise to break the logjam on federal funding for the Morganza project. We got the first tranche ever of federal Corps of Engineer construction dollars on the Morganza project, which laid the groundwork for the announcement today, which is an additional $380 million for the Morganza to the Gulf project, which of course is hurricane protection for Terrebonne and portions of Lafourche Parish. Some really important components that we anticipate will be constructed, things like the Minor Canal floodgate, the Humboldt Canal floodgate, building the Lockport to La Rose levee section. We anticipate additional work on the Gulf Intracoastal Waterway. But look, all of this is ultimately making sure that we provide better hurricane protection, just safer communities in Terrebonne and portions of Lafourche Parish. So really good progress today and a long overdue announcement.
Yeah, and so we're so very glad to be able to have that. And like we said, you know, we kind of put in that request in 1992, kind of seeing the writing on the wall of some of the work that needed to be done, and really glad that here with local and state, they've been able to get some things done. And now here with those national monies, the levee boards, and I know they work so very well together with Terrebonne, Lafourche, and St. Mary, and really kind of bringing things together. But that $380 million is going to make a difference initially for us to move forward for complete flood protection inside the flood walls.
And there's no doubt about it. And, you know, something that's important to note, this isn't a gamble, or we think it's going to do this or we think it's going to do that. Look, if you look back when I was working for the state of Louisiana, we put hundreds of millions of dollars in state funds of the project. We put about $500 million in some of the oil spill funds toward the project. Keep in mind, citizens of Lafourche and Terrebonne have voted to tax themselves with both a sales tax and a property tax. There is a lot of money invested. The Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District, Terrebonne Parish, Lafourche, South Lafourche Levee District, the state of Louisiana, all these people have just been able to pull together over $1 billion. We have a lot of the first section of levee that is already in place, and that did provide protection to many of the areas of Terrebonne Parish during Hurricane Ida. So this is simply coming in and building on that success, building on the incredible progress that's been made in recent years. But look, you add this to the federal funds we announced last year, and it's over $400 million in new investments in this important project, and really just all about safer communities, safer families in Terrebonne and Lafourche. And I'll say it again, long overdue.
And so I guess my question is, did Hurricane Ida kind of push this to the forefront and say, listen, we really need to address this and address this now and get these monies available?
It absolutely did. In fact, I don't want to in any way say that this is bad, but we had put $500 million in a hurricane supplemental appropriations bill that was intended for the Morganza project. And in fact, we had pulled together a little bit of other funds. At one point, we were anticipating about $580 million for the project. And that's where this thing candidly should have been funded out of, because that was going to be 100% federal cost. They ended up moving the funding source over to a different source, which is now going to cost the state about $130 million in match funds. But let me say it again, this was really, the catalyst in this case was Hurricane Ida. But one of the awful things here is that, look, it shouldn't take a hurricane or a disaster or proof that this levee type protection can work for us to come in and have to get additional federal funds. The federal government has got to be proactive, recognizing vulnerability where it exists, recognizing communities that are worth protecting much earlier, and investing there to make sure that these places are a safe place to live, raise a family, and have a business.
Yeah, and we know that we're just a small percentage of all of those funds that have been raised. And so we appreciate people like you champion the cause to get monies appropriated for all of our coastal areas really being protected from those flooding and flood zones.
Well, look, this is what happens when people all push in the same direction. Your parish president, Gordy Dove, the parish president in Lafourche Parish has been great working with us as well.
Archie.
Reggie Dupree, the Levy District, Tony Alford. I mean, there are a lot of people, Jerome Zhang, who have really put their shoulder on this thing, and everybody pushing in the same direction. And that's what happens when you really focus on the same goal and everybody's working together.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's been one of those things that we've been very complimentary of down here, is that Lafourche and Terrebonne put things aside and said, you know what, this is not just about one or the other. This is about all of us together. And you bring up a really good point as we close, and we show the picture here of everybody's really signing this new PPA and the agreement. And so, Garret Graves, we thank you so much for doing everything you can on your end. We appreciate your time, but more importantly, we appreciate your leadership here for Louisiana. So thank you for what you're doing, and congratulations on getting this move through. It was a long time coming.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right. And again, that is Representative Garret Graves, our U.S. Congressman representing Louisiana's 6th District. And so very glad to have him on today giving us an update. And that will do it for this edition of Bayou Time. Don't go anywhere. A whole lot more local programming when we continue.